Alright, here we are again, doing another Olingertoons tier list. Updated and expanded 2025 edition, plus Ultra, Electric Boogaloo. So, I did one of these already, but that was a year ago, and Wyatt had 2,000 less subscribers than he does now. Just recently, I caught up on all the toons I hadn't watched because I stopped watching them for a few months. I caught up on all of them and then rewatched all of them. So now, since I had done all that, I felt this was a good time to make another tier list. So, as you can see, I have all the toons here in order of release date, and I'm going to be ranking them, and unlike my last... Oh. Whoops. But unlike my last tier list, you can see I have added an F tier because there are 22 shows, and I don't want any of the tiers to be too crowded, so I've added an extra tier. And I guess we'll just get started with Wyatt's House Party. So Wyatt's House Party was really the first Olingertoon, and going back to it now, I don't think it holds up that well. It's pretty boring. It's pretty repetitive with the episode structure. It always starts the same way with the elimination, and then they do the challenge, and Ian tries to mess it up. They do switch it up a little bit towards the end, but it's still not enough to make it really interesting. Also, it's probably the worst looking show out of all of these. And I'm sticking it in D tier. Alright, Low Budget. Low Budget, the original, I think is kind of funny at times. A lot of the puns I found pretty funny, like the Star Wars episode with like Hand Solo and R2 Wii U. Like I found that quite funny. And some of the other jokes and things I think are funny, like the Mr. Rogers episode where it shows the bus going through a train tunnel, and then the characters are like, wait a minute, why did the bus just go through a train tunnel? So it has some pretty good bits and jokes, and I did laugh a few times, but it's really short, and one thing I don't like about either Low Budget is that there's not really a reason for it to be a parody. Like, it's kind of parodying it for parody's sake. It's not like parodying it within a certain theme, which some of the later shows, hint hint, do. But it did make me laugh a bit, so C tier. Alright, Literal Anime. In my opinion, this is the best of the original three toons. It has a more interesting... Well, Low Budget doesn't have a story. Wyatt's House Party's story is like really minimal. So this really is the first kind of story-based toon. A lot of the characters are funny, and there's plenty of zany stuff, but I still think it's doesn't quite hold up as well as some of these others. It's still 5 years old, but I do think it's the best original toon. I think I'm going to put it in B tier for now. Alright, Mr. Macabre's S tier. This toon, I think, is incredible going back, because it still holds up so well with even, like, the more modern toons. I think if this came out, like, more recently, then it would be A tier, but because it is one of the, like, original ones, it came out 4 years ago, I'm putting it in S tier. The supernatural element of it is pretty good, and the finale with, like, the crazy big transforming villain in the battle actually makes sense in this one, which it doesn't in some of these others. We'll get to that. But yeah, just a really fun show. I love the like Halloweeny spookiness of it. It's definitely the best, oldest show. One Average Family. I feel like I don't have to say much about this one. I feel like most people know how bad it is, but I'll just say a little bit. The main characters in this show are the least likable characters ever. And, like, they're specifically designed to be that way. And the only character that you, like, empathize with and want to have a good ending is Moron. And he doesn't. And, like, the rest of the family get a good ending, which they don't really deserve. I feel like if the weird corruption stuff still happened, and like everyone died, that would have been a better ending for this show. Because then it would have been like worth it, I guess. Also, the concept this show has, which is starting out normal and slowly turning weird and reality breaking and everything, is done better by a later toon here, which we'll get to. Alright, Love Block. I really like Love Block. I'm gonna put it there. I think the villain is really what lets down this show, especially towards the finale where he becomes like a super villain and like throws a bomb and then dies. The villain overall, I think the idea of the villain being like a weird obsessive guy who wants to basically kidnap the girls is good, but like he's too weird and obsessive like to make sense, I guess. But this show's great. It has a lot of good romance type stuff. You can tell Jerry really cares about all three of the girls. It also has a lot of kind of wacky, cartoony elements that are really funny. The speech bubble lights on fire, and the store not having a name, and other things like that. Oh, also, I wish that the girl at the end, I'm forgetting her name, but I wish she had come into the series earlier and Jerry had gotten more of a chance to know her, because I feel like him not picking any of the three girls makes sense. That's like how it should end. But I think him just picking her doesn't really make that much sense because he only knows her for like a day. Yeah, Love Block, plenty of good, but towards the end, I think not so good. All right, Experiments. I'm going to put that one ahead of Mr. Macabre's in S tier there. This show has been running for 87 episodes, and it is still good. Somehow. Wyatt continuously finds ways to put interesting twists, keep the show interesting, add more characters. There are 112 experiments in this show, and they're all somehow unique and have their own character and personality, and I don't know how he does it. I really don't know how Wyatt does it. Yeah, this show, I feel like rewatching it just every season just kept getting better. Four Little Friends. I'm gonna stick that in A tier. I really like this show. All the episodes are pretty short, but I feel like that works. And I really like the characters, the dynamics and everything. And I feel like this show could have gone on a bit longer. Like, I don't feel like it started to get boring or repetitive. Actually, I might put it at the end of S tier. It really would be like in between these two, but I'd say end of S tier here. Like these four characters, I feel like they could be chucked into any situation and it would be entertaining. All right, Wyatt Forever. I'm gonna stick that in the top of A tier. Wyatt Forever, I think, is a really fun show. I like all the characters, the dynamics, the jokes, everything. I think it's good, but it gets pretty repetitive and a bit boring as it goes along. I feel like this show kind of has the opposite problem of Four Little Friends. Like, this show should have had maybe a few less episodes, because there's like 3 episodes that have basically the same plot of like someone leaving. Well, 4? Yeah, like 4 episodes that have basically the same plot of someone leaving. I don't know. It just gets a bit boring and repetitive. But there's still plenty of funny jokes, plenty of fun character interactions and moments. The race episode, that one's hilarious. I love that episode. There are plenty of like really good episodes, but they're mixed in with a few not so good episodes. Low Budget Reborn. I'm putting that here. I think the original Low Budget is better than Low Budget Reborn. I think the original was more funny, because Low Budget Reborn, I noticed, it doesn't do too many interesting riffs on things. It just kind of like retells the original piece of media, but like the characters' names are slightly different. But their designs aren't even that different. Like Low Budget, the original, the characters had like different designs, and it had like jokes and riffs on things, whereas Low Budget Reborn just kind of retells the original, but not as good because it's low budget. So yeah, D tier. Pokemon Laia. This one surprised me. I'm going to put this in the top of A tier. This show really surprised me. I am not into Pokemon. I've played like Emerald and Red, and that's really it. I've not watched the anime. I've not played any of the recent games. I don't know any. Well, actually, I know like 2, maybe 3 of the existing Pokemon characters that show up in this show. But I liked it. I really liked it. I was really into Rick's story. I was really cheering for him by the end. I loved the episode where all of the other characters like show up and cheer him on. It was just so good. And somehow, with 42 episodes, it remained interesting and fun. I don't know how. Hats off to Wyatt for this show, somehow making it go that long and still be interesting. With me not even really being that into Pokemon. Because it's still, it's still a Wyatt show. It's still got all the zaniness, all the funny jokes. So I feel like that kind of kept me along. Also, him being the final champion is just great. I was like, there's no way that Wyatt's going to make himself the region champion, is he? Yep. Honestly, I'm not even mad about that. That's great. Greetings from Freedom Island. I'm going to stick that here. My opinion on this show's changed a bit since the first time I watched it, though. The first time I watched it, I really didn't like it because I felt it was too crazy and goes too far off the rails. But this second time watching it, I just kind of didn't question it and went along for the ride, and it was fun. I don't know, I don't have too much to say about it, but I feel like it's B tier because, again, it goes so insane and so far off the rails, it can kind of take you out of the story at points, like the Death Star showing up, or just how evil Stella is. Like, she's too evil to, like, make sense. Buy our stuff! I really don't know where to stick this because it's really short, but I think it was pretty good while it lasted. You know what, I'll put it there. The character designs are all cool, and I feel like this is a way better version of what One Average Family was trying to do, where it seems kind of like normal product infomercials with funny character mascots, but then it turns like weird and dark and they end up escaping. Yeah, I feel like it's a good show, and it's really short. There's only 7 episodes, but I think if it was any longer, it would start to get kind of, boring and repetitive. So yeah, I feel like low A tier. Really, it would be like in between A and B tier, but I feel like the end of A tier is kind of where it deserves to be. Galactic Girls. All the way at the tippy top. I absolutely love this show. I think this is probably Wyatt's best show. It has such a fun concept, cool characters, great story, and it manages to stick the landing with a really fun and awesome finale. I don't know, it's just great. S tier. Next up, Rated E for Epic. I'm going to stick it there. Rated E for Epic is really hard to compare to the rest of these because it's much more similar to Wyatt's random puppet videos than it is to any of these shows. I really like Sonia and Birdmouse as hosts. They're great. Big Voice is funny too. I like the kind of more variety show style because, I like Wyatt's puppet videos. I think the main downside to this show is that it was a request show, but at the time, Wyatt's channel was way less popular, and so it didn't really get any requests. If you're going to do a request show like this, you need, I don't know, maybe 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers who actually watch your stuff and aren't just there for the history videos, which kind of unfortunate because there's some great stuff here. I wish more people paid attention to these than the history videos because A lot of these shows deserve to be watched. Squirrels. I'm going to put it right next to Buy Our Stuff. I feel like these two shows are pretty similar because they're both short and they both do an earlier show's concept way better. So Buy Our Stuff was like One Average Family. Squirrels is like a better version of Low Budget because it parodies a lot of things, but it does it within the theme of squirrels taking over the world, which by itself is funny, but then you see squirrel versions of like normal things, and I don't know, I find it very funny and entertaining. And again, like Buy Our Stuff, I think if it went on for any longer, it would have gotten kind of annoying. So I think right next to it is a good place to stick it. Riley's Park. I'm going to put it here, just under experiments, because I don't really have much to say about Riley's Park. It just is good. There's a reason it's the most popular toon. It's just good. It's not crazy. It's not like insane. It doesn't have any cool moments or anything. It just base level is really good and entertaining. I'd say there. I don't think it's as interesting as these two shows, which is why I put these above it, because it just is what it is. It's just a nice little show. Looking at the rest of these here, I don't want the S tier to be too crowded, so I'm going to move Four Little Friends down one. Sorry, Four Little Friends. Cassandra Collector. Also S tier. I'm not sure it or Experiments. I'm going to put it above Experiments. Screw it. I really like this show. I like the slightly more kind of dark and adult tone that this show has, while still having all the cartoon zaniness to kind of bring levity to it. Holly and Harry are great villains. All of the stuff that comes from Holly actually being Holly Hugs is hilarious. So, yeah, I say, I'll put it below Experiments. Experiments is still really, really good. Night of the Nights. This show, I'm surprised, but I'm putting it all the way up here. This show is great. Rewatching this show, I absolutely loved it. I love Lucian's journey. I love the medieval fantasy setting. It's a really fun mix-up from all of these where it's just kind of set in the modern day, or I guess like Pokemon world. The villain is cool and fun. He fits his purpose. Just everything I think is great. It's just a great story. The Radio Club. This one, I'm going to put there. I liked this one. I think it had a lot of interesting twists and turns. I was not expecting the twist villain. Like, that actually got me. I thought it was going to be more of a love triangle type thing. But no, twist villain. This show, it's a bit different from the rest of these. Well, I guess Night of the Nights kind of does this, where it tells one continuous story between all the episodes. Whereas most of these, there might be a continuous story, but the episodes are about whatever zany thing's happening this week. Whereas the Radio Club is basically the one continuous story throughout the whole show. Like, if you put all the episodes of this together, it would basically be a movie. I think it's a pretty good show. I might even put it above Mr. Macabre's. The League of Daydream. I will say, each Daydream Team toon is better than the last. This one, I'm saying, I think I like it more personally than Riley's Park. Using the pre-existing kind of Daydream Team characters and having them use their traits and abilities to go on missions and help try and save Hazel Island while combating Dalton and various other villains. Wyatt's only had one other villain, and I hope there are more, like one-off villains, because that was honestly one of my favorite episodes, was the one with the guy in the blimp stealing all the stars. I really like this show. I feel like it serves its purpose well as kind of an evolution of the Daydream Team characters from here. And finally, Pop Tropica Chronicles. Now this show's just started, so it's really hard to rank. I'll put it bottom of S tier because I really like it so far. I think that this show has a lot of really good potential, and it is a really pretty faithful adaptation of Pop Tropica to show form. And I like that there is an actual overarching plot that's being hinted at. You know, it's mentioned, oh, certain Pop Tropicas have gone missing. And it shows Dr. Hare kind of evilly watching over everything that's happening. And so it's hinting at a larger story, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. Let me just see if I want to move any of these around here. Might move that down. Put these two in B tier. Yeah, I'd say that's about my ranking of all of the Olingertoons. As you can see, I think there are plenty of S tier tunes. I think the more recent ones are really good. They've just been getting better and better as Wyatt's gone on making shows. He's just continued to improve his skills, and I can't wait to see how some of these shows continue and what comes out next. Let me know in the comments what's your ranking of these shows, which one's your favorite. I'm sure there are going to be maybe a few people who disagree with me because I know Riley's Park and Experiments are the two most popular shows. I mean, I think they're S tier, but they're not my favorite. They're definitely some of the best, though. But anyways, thank you for watching.